Hello everyone. Today we are reviewing a book titled Carrying the Fire by Michael Collins. The book is an autobiographical account of one of the three astronauts who flew to the moon, one among them being Mike Collins. It describes the events that happened in the space era in the 60s and 70s and how astronauts trained themselves to be part of such space missions. The events that panned out during the mission to moon, and particularly about Apollo 11 that took the astronauts to land on the moon. It's a fascinating account of one of the greatest feats mankind has ever made. About the author, Michael Collins, as you all know, could not set foot on the moon. He was on the command module which orbited the moon. And he talks about what kind of pressure that he felt when he was chosen for the project, as well as how he felt when he was so close to the moon yet he could not land on the moon, and other experiences that he had during this entire phase. Now, moving on to the summary of the book, this is one of a very long books with a lot of details around the functioning of NASA, how it operated in that period, the kind of trainings that the pilots go through, etc., and all of that. So out of the 14 chapters which are there in the book, the chapters which constitute the actual flying and the testing that happened in the space, etc., are highly intriguing. The rest of the chapters talk about what has happening on the mission control room and the background work that happened, etc., which is a kind of a drag in the overall story. And one of the biggest talking points in the book is about the perspective it gives you in terms of where Earth features in the overall solar system. Mike Collins, when he was in the outer space, and when he looked back at the Earth, he called it as something which is fragile, because he saw there is complete blackness everywhere and there is this single ball which is hosting more than 1 billion lives in it, and if we lose that, what is going to happen is for anybody's guess. And that is the kind of thought process the book starts to generate. And in the beginning of the book, Mike Collins describes his own life, how he wanted to be a pilot, and how he trained for fighter pilots, and later on he gets selected as a test pilot to NASA. And then there is this huge movement which is happening to put man in the moon, and then there is a hiring spree which happens in NASA for hiring a lot of astronauts, and Mike Collins becomes one among the 14 astronauts who was hired in this whole process. Now, in this space era, there were many rockets which were developed, many series of rockets which were developed, starting from the Mercury series, Gemini series, and then the Apollo series. Now, if you see, the Mercury series and the Gemini series were used for a variety of testing that were supposed to be done in the space to understand the conditions there, how men can survive there, etc. And they were the precursors to the actual Apollo missions that were supposed to happen later. Now, all these 14 pilots were given rigorous training in a variety of fields which they need to excel before they call themselves as certified astronauts. Say, example, astronomy, rocket propulsion, communication, geology, and aerodynamics, and a variety of activities. They also had to do a lot of training as well in terms of conditioning their body for G-force that they will experience, as well as underwater simulations that had to be done, etc. Now, all of these were done for all the 14 pilots, and one would never know who would be the one who would get chosen for a moon mission, because they had a calendar of events. They had all these launches that were put in place, and the pilots were chosen at random basis of need and special capabilities if anything is required, and each of them were allocated place in these launches. Now, how did Mike Collins or Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin got selected for Apollo 11, which was a crucial mission for Moon, is a gamble actually. Anybody could have been chosen, but yeah, these three were the ones who got chosen for that specific flight which went to the Moon. Now, if you see, before Apollo 11, Mike Collins had another journey to the space in Gemini 10, wherein he, along with another co-pilot, went into the Earth's orbit, moved around the Earth's orbit for quite some time, did some extravehicular activity, which is they come out of the launch vehicle and do some work around in the outer space. And there was also a docking experiment that they did, wherein they connect with another aircraft which was sent already into space. So this was all testing that happened before the actual space mission to the Moon. Now he also talks about the kind of challenges that one would face in the outer space. Say for example, most of the technology that you see in a spacecraft is automated or computer driven. But in case of a failure, these guys have to be ready. So they also need to understand how to operate them in a manual mode. Say for example, they need to understand the position of the aircraft, the direction at which this is pointing. Of course, in the space you don't have directions very clearly defined, so you define the position using the stars which are there in the space. So you need to know how to operate a sextant and define the position of the stars, like how the navigators of the early seas would do that. So it's a circle that we have come around in terms of navigation. Now he takes the Gemini 10 flight, does all the activities that are supposed to be done in that flight, comes back to Earth, and he starts to develop a numbing pain in his leg in the midst of all of this. Then he realizes that there is a bone growth that has happened in his spinal cord, which needs a surgery. Now if he does a surgery in the spinal cord, it is going to take away his career further in the astronaut world. So he does a different kind, he handles that in a different way and somehow moves away from that scare and continues to proceed in this journey. Now when the space mission, when the actual D-Day comes, it is very interesting to understand how the whole thing was orchestrated. The amount of the weight of the actual spacecraft was a humongous number, and the launch vehicle was called a Saturn, and it pushed this the satellite and the space probe into the Earth's orbit first, and they rotate around the Earth's orbit for some time, and then there's a certain thrust which is given on the when they are on the Earth orbit, and it moves towards the Moon. After a certain point in time, they move away from the Earth's gravitational pull and they get closer to the Moon's gravitational pull, and they get caught in the Moon's gravitational pull, orbit the Moon, and then they have something called as a lunar module. So it's a piece of two items which are there. There is this service module and then there is a lunar module. The lunar module then detaches itself from the service module, which is where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin sit, and Mike Collins sits in the service module. And this lunar module flies into the Moon's surface, lands it, does all the experiments, and then it is supposed to come back, right, and then dock again with the service module and then fly back to there. This is the whole process in which this thing worked. But the funny thing to note is, once the lunar module detached and it flew towards the surface of the Earth, the service module continues to orbit the Moon, right? And it takes at least 2 hours to orbit the entire Moon, and there is a certain period where the service module goes behind the Moon and it does not have direct radio contact with the Earth, which means Mike Collins would not be able to understand what is going on in the lunar module and its landing. So actually, if you see, when the actual landing happened and when Neil Armstrong set foot on the Moon, Mike Collins was not aware of it. He could not be a party to this whole fun that was happening there, and the loud cheer and joy that was happening between NASA and the Earth and Neil Armstrong. He could not be part of that. And when the module came back in contact with the Earth, that is when he got to talk to them and understand what is going on, how both of them felt, etc., and all of that. Now, once the work that has to be done on the surface of the moon is complete, the lunar module lifts off from there and comes for a rendezvous on the orbit of the moon. Both the modules join, they fly back to the Earth. And the fun thing to note is that they were supposed to have a 21-day quarantine, because they thought that there could be microbes in the moon's surface, and you wouldn't know what is there in that, and hence they were quarantined for 21 days before they could then join the families and then celebrate, etc., and all of that. And of course the president of the USA and the world leaders were very happy about the mission being successful. But the key question that kept coming back was this needed at this point in time? Spending a lot of money to send people to the moon. Could it not have been spent usefully in the welfare of the people to alleviate poverty or unemployment that was happening at that point in time? The interesting thing to note is that the same question was asked to Benjamin Franklin as well when he flew the air balloon for the first time. But from there to where we are today, we have been able to progress only because we have had the exploratory mindset, and it can never be a question of investing money in this or that. It cannot be an either or question. Both are important and both have to be considered equally important, is the point of view that Mike Collins leaves us with as he ends the book. Now, what are the key takeaways from this book? When Apollo 11 achieved the glory, all the vehicles, launch vehicles that went before them, as well as the people who lost their lives trying to map the steps that Apollo 11 was going to take in the future, contributed to the success of Apollo 11. So great feats are always achieved by teamwork and effort from members who do selfless work. Second key takeaway is when Apollo 11 was put on the orbit of the moon, it was actually 3 days since the launch, and it had done a lot of intricate and important steps from moving the orbit of the Earth to the orbit of the moon. Yet, if they had committed a simple mistake at that point in time, Apollo 11 would have become a permanent satellite to the moon. So, Mike Collins calls out that it is not important that we always look at the success of the past and feel great about it. It is equally important to understand the challenges that we face in the future and be wary of it and not be complacent of the past success. And the last point is, man should not curb or stop himself from being curious / having the exploratory mindset. It is that which has brought him to this place that we are today, from being a simple man hunting and foraging in the jungle. With that, we come to the end of this week's summary and review. I'll catch up with you with another interesting book the next week. Goodbye.